Central Minnesota Sports Hub. It's the Morning Sports Desk, presented by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and streaming on YouTube.
It is the Morning Sports Desk on a Monday, the 17th of March. This is the Morning Sports Desk powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Corey, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. We did it. How's the green beer tasting early this morning?
It's great. My wife told me to wear green today, and I said, I'm not Irish. It's fine. And then I walked out the door.
Not only did I not wear green, I wore...
I think we lost Corey for a second here on the stream as he goes dark here. So anyway, while we get ready, we do have some things to talk about here until Corey can find himself back in the thick of things. But it is just really a fun week of state tournament basketball, and there's a lot of it. So much local state tournament basketball. I am really excited to see what's going to happen. So first, I think we need to go back a little bit to the section tournament Friday. Oh, there you go, Corey. You're back. How's it feel to rejoin? Okay, so we are doing kind of a little bit of a recap from Friday's games, Corey. Henning was playing, and he'll take a second to come back here. And Henning got to play West Central Area in the Section 6A championship game. We previewed that game on Friday night, and the first half was a battle. West Central Area went into the locker room with a 27-24 halftime lead, and Henning went into the locker room down by 3 points. And Corey, we talked about this on Friday morning show. We said the first few minutes of the second half are going to be very telling as to what this game is going to be. West Central Area played nice first half, so did Henning, but Henning was down by 3. But in the first 3 minutes of the second half, Henning went on a 9-1 run to retake the lead and never looked back. They got the lead, and then they just proceeded to continue the rest of the half to grow that lead, because all of a sudden you looked up at the scoreboard. Oh, they're up by 9. Oh, they're up by 10. They're up by 15. Oh, they're up by 20. How much time is... Oh, they're going to state. Like, Henning, in that first chunk of the second half, took the lead and just kind of sucked the will out of West Central Area, and they got to win the game. And Corey, it's always fun when we talk about something and say, hey, this is going to be important, and then it actually ends up happening because it just makes us feel smart.
You know, it wasn't like it's not like an otherworldly basketball opinion to say that the first 3 to 5 minutes of the second half are very, very important, because I mean that is just absolutely always been the case, but especially in important games, especially when everybody's good, especially when one team can just go on a run. It needs to be, if you can go on a run over the first 3-4 minutes of the second half, and all of a sudden that 18-minute half is now a 14-minute half, it's become so compressed, so condensed that each possession, it amplifies the importance of each and every single possession. There's no more important stretch of basketball, I think, than the first 3 or 4 minutes of that second half. That's always been the case. Obviously, barring a close game over the final 2 minutes, right? I don't want to sound like a fool that way, but yeah, that stretch in time, it's a tone setter for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and Henning outscored West Central Area in the second half 48-24. Just unreal. And sometimes it just happens. Sometimes you flip the nets. Sometimes, people talk about halftime adjustments, and I think there was some adjustments that both teams made. But I think we talk about this all the time, Corey. We talk about pro sports. Sometimes halftime adjustments can be, not that they're unimportant, but they can be a little overstated in how important they are. And either way, Henning just came out of that second half and they were able to get their shots going. I said this during my halftime show, which again, things you say in the moment that sound like, oh, okay, and then come to fruition. And then not that they're big, deep thoughts, but just like a little bit of a, oh, cool, I made that observation correct. And it ended up happening. I said at halftime, because Kostelecki had like 15 plus points. He had a really nice game. He finished with 29. He was our player of the game. Super nice. At halftime, The team's leading scorer throughout the season, and Tegan Bjerke, only had about 4 points, and Kale Misagatis, the team's best scorer, only had 4 points. And I said at halftime, when those two guys are combined for 10 points or less, and you're only down by 3, Henning fans may look at that and go, oh shoot, we're down by 3, and two of our better players are having great halves. But if you're a Henning fan, you go, actually, that's a good thing, because we're right in this game, and two of our better scorers haven't even gotten going yet. And Kale and Bjerke both got baskets, like on the first 2 possessions of the half. Misagatis, basket. Next possession, Bjerke, basket. And they got that first one, and they got their confidence going, and Bjerke ended up finishing with like 10 or 12. Misagatis ended up finishing with somewhere around 16 points in the game. And of course, Kostelecki with 29. Kostelecki continued to have a great game. Their 2 best offensive players showed up in the second half. Offensively, they were playing a good game defensively all around. But just when you look at that aspect, I said at halftime, those 2 guys are going to get going and Henning's going to be all right. And that's what ended up happening.
Yeah, and your point about halftime adjustments too, I think sometimes what's important to remember is especially in Minnesota State high school basketball, we don't play quarters, right? We play halves. And sometimes those 18 minutes can just go by in a blur, and you can't really, it's not so much an X's and O's adjustment so much as it's halftime needs to happen, and you just need to settle into like, oh, this is what they're doing, I understand it now. And then the second half of basketball can happen. There's just sometimes it's just like a mental reset that happens at halftime in a game like this. I think probably you wouldn't see it if we played 4 quarters of basketball still, right? You'd only get 8 minutes. And then at the quarter break, you could kind of reset. But a lot of times these two teams are spending 18 minutes just kind of sorting each other out. So that way, when that 10-minute halftime hits, you're like, okay, now that we went through it, what happened? Here's what we're seeing. There are no adjustments. Now we understand what's happening. Yes, everybody's on the same page. Okay, good. Now let's go out and execute the way we wanted to do it the whole time. Those halftime breaks, and I just always think is kind of an interesting quirk with the halftime adjustment and playing only 2 halves of basketball.
Right, exactly. And again, the halftime break is 10 minutes, and you have a couple minutes at the end to shoot. It takes a couple minutes to get to the locker room. So you only really have like 6 minutes at most to talk. It's not like, and when people say halftime adjustments, I think sometimes it's like, oh, they scrapped their whole game plan and they completely redid everything. And it's like you said, we get into the locker room. Okay, what happens? You can make tweaks and you can say, okay, we did this, let's do that. But you're not going to like overhaul your entire strategy going into the game at halftime. You basically get in there, catch your breath, and like you said, have a chance to collect your thoughts and then get back out there for the second half. It's not like you're doing any kind of big scheming in the grand thing. But
correct.
That's where it sits with that game. Pequot Lakes, Corey, topped ESCO in the 7AA championship game. They are going to the state tournament in boys basketball, getting the win over a fun section rivalry that's been brewing with them and ESCO over the last few years. So the Patriots get into the state tournament, and we'll talk about matchups in a second. Alexandria area gets into the tournament for 3A. On Tuesday, they play already at Williams Arena, so they're jumping right into the state tournament tomorrow. And then back to the Class A, Nevis wins Section 5A to go to the state tournament. Long-time kind of 5A perennials. The Nevis Tigers are going back to the state tournament this season. And now, Corey, let's dive into a little bit of these matchups here in the first round of the state tournament. So I am going to see if I can get this to fit in one screen as we work to pull up the bracket for this is Class A. Do I need to zoom out a little bit more, Corey?
I mean, whatever. It's fine. I'm on my phone. I'm not going to be able to see it that well no matter what.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll zoom in a little bit more then, and we'll just kind of we'll go at it this way. So here is the bracket for Class A state boys basketball. Cherry is your 1 seed. They only have 1 loss on the year. They are going to take on the 8-seeded Bold, who won Section 2A. In the 4-5 matchup, Nevis versus Henning, 5A, 6A, 4-5 matchup. Remember, this is the first year that the state tournament is being seeded 1 through 8. And Henning and Nevis met already in the regular season. Nevis won by 6. We'll preview this matchup a little bit later in the week. But Corey, just looking at this half of the bracket here, it's very interesting that Henning and Nevis are getting kind of this rematch in the quarterfinal round.
Well, just some perennials on this side of the bracket too, right? I mean, 3 of the 4 are teams you're just used to seeing all the time. Now in this state tournament, they have really good histories. And Bold is never been a slouch ever. It's in the past I would have complained about 2 teams who play each other during the regular season playing against each other in the quarterfinals. But now that the seeding is 1 through everywhere, and I mean, if you think about it, it's a 4-5 matchup. These would have been seeded this way no matter what, even if the random draw still existed. But since they're seeded that way, I still think it's a bummer that these 2 teams are right down the road from each other effectively and play each other during the regular season and use each other as barometers for state tournament readiness throughout the season. I think it's a bummer that they got to travel 250 miles to 200 miles to play each other in the opening round of the state tournament. But if that's how it's seeded, that's how it's seeded. I have fewer complaints. I have no complaints about it. I just think it's a bummer.
And by the way, I do think that, like you said, I do think they are seeded properly. Like, I think, and again, even without the random draws like that, they still would have gotten this matchup. But I think, and obviously it's a 4-5, so it is going to be on paper one of the closer matchups you'll get in the quarterfinal rounds. But these 2 teams have played each other. They've played each other a lot kind of in recent years. And I really do think that this is going to be, without getting kind of into the nitty gritty of things, I think this is going to be one of the best matchups of the quarterfinal round in Class A, because these 2 teams have history. Nevis got the victory early in the season. They've continued to be a juggernaut all season long. But if you're Henning, you say, hey, we lost to them, but we got our best player in Kale Misa got us back. How does that shift the math and shift things? And of course, Nevis has the size with the 2 big guys they have down low. Like, it's going to be a really fun matchup just looking at it that way. So I'm really excited to see what happens. I do think that this was seeded properly. See, I don't have a ton of issues with how things are. Moving over to the other side of the bracket, the 2-seeded Dawson Boyd taking on the 7-seeded Heritage Christian Academy. Dawson Boyd won out of Section 3, Heritage out of Section 4. And winning Section 1 is Goodhue as the 6th seed. They're going to play Section 8A champion Red Lake County, who's the 3 seed in this tournament. By the way, Corey, the one team to beat Cherry all regular season long was Red Lake County, and they're on opposite sides of the bracket.
Nice. Yeah, that'll be fun. Again, a number of those Goodhue's always in it. It seems like Heritage Christian Academy is always in it. Dawson Boyd, no secret. No secret there. And Red Lake County, I mean, whatever. This turns out programs are programs because they're programs. You know what I mean?
Programs are programs because they're programs. Corey, we got to print the shirts.
Put it on a bumper sticker.
All right, let's go and take a look at the AA bracket quickly here and just see how things stack up. Albany, your 1 seed out of Section 6 AA, is a surprise to nobody. Pelican Rapids is the 8 AA representative. They got the 8 seed in this, and they're going to play at 6 o'clock Williams Arena on Friday. Minnehaha is the 5 seed out of Section 4 AA. They're going to take on the 4-seeded Caledonia out of 1 AA Williams Arena, 8 o'clock on tomorrow. They jump right into the tournament tomorrow, which is insane. Pequot Lakes is also going to play tomorrow, 6 o'clock tip-off from Target Center. They're the 7 seed out of 7 AA. They take on the 2-seeded Waseca out of Section 2 AA. Montevideo, the 6 seed out of 3 AA. They take on Breck, the 3 seed out of Section 5 AA. Pequot Lakes, Waseca, 6 o'clock Target Center tomorrow, 8 o'clock for the Montevideo Breck School from Target Center as well. Corey, what sticks out to you in the AA bracket?
No, nothing really. Again, the top 2 teams in that class have been familiar names for a number of years now, with Albany and Waseca in particular. But good luck, Pequot Lakes. Good luck, Pelican Rapids. Let's go ahead and represent here Central Minnesota, you know?
Going to the 3A bracket, number 1 seed Mankato East out of Section 2 AAA. They are the defending state champions, so makes sense there. They have a 10 a.m. tip tomorrow against St. Paul Harding in the AAA game. St. Paul Harding, your representative out of the 3 AAA section. And then the 4-5 matchup, Orono the 4, De La Salle the 5. De La Salle out of Section 4 AAA as always, Section 6 AAA for Orono. And then moving over to the other side of the bracket here, Duluth Denfeld, the 7 seed out of 7 AAA. They take on the 5 AAA champions, the 2-seeded Totino Grace. Alexandria Area, the 3 seed in this tournament out of Section 8 AAA. They take on 1 AAA champions, Byron, as the 6 seed for Byron there. Alexandria plays Byron 4:00 tip tomorrow afternoon from Williams Arena. Corey, what stands out to you here?
Nothing. Good luck, Alexandria.
Shocker that Mankato East is number 1.
No, and no shocker that De La Salle is in the tournament once again. And I mean, as any team made the state tournament, do you think more than De La Salle?
It's got to be De La Salle. I mean,
De La Salle or Hopkins?
De La Salle, Hopkins, maybe Minneapolis North. Like, there's just some teams that every year you might as well pencil them in, and it's fascinating to see those programs continue. De La Salle has the longevity, and so does Hopkins. I think that does give them kind of the just perennial. But anyway, in the 4A bracket, 1 seed Cretin Durham Hall out of Section 4, 8 seeded Rochester John Marshall from Section 1. Again, all these games are tomorrow to get the quarterfinal action going. Apple Valley, the 5 seed out of Section 3, takes on the 4 seed of Maple Grove from Section 5. Moorhead winning Section 8 4A. They're the 7 seed. They're playing the 2 seed of Wayzata out of Section 6. Shakopee, the 3 out of Section 2. Anoka, the 6 out of Section 7. That's how the bracket shakes out. Corey, looks like kind of another, looking on the outside in, Wayzata has a path, looks like right back to the state championship game. And Corey has left us here for a second. So he'll jump back in when we are able to. And Corey's jumping back in here. That takes us kind of to the end of our bracket talk. Corey, we got a couple of state sports things we need to just clean up on. But before we do that, as we finish up our talk on basketball, Henning made the state boys basketball tournament. But not only that, they also had a young girls basketball hooper that got a pretty big milestone. Tell us a little bit more.
Well, Stella Iliff went to the hoop shoot, and I can't remember the exact. Is it the regionals?
I would say regionals, yeah, in Iowa.
Hoop shoot. She went to Iowa and won the dang thing. So she's going on to nationals and shooting free throws in front of a bunch of people. And I mean, I've been kind of following along a little bit, just watching some announcements. Like she just keeps making free throws more than everybody else, and kind of an unbelievable, ridiculous sort of count where it's like, I mean, you know, like what do they shoot, 25 or 30 of them?
25, yeah.
Making like 24 and 23.
You're making 25 and then making 3 in a shoot off.
If you make 23 out of 25, it's probably not enough to win, kind of a
right.
thing.
If you miss one early, you might as well just go home.
So Stella, you can see that big trophy there when you follow the Morning Sports Desk on YouTube. Just search Hubbard Radio-Wadena. You can see that big trophy from Stella, and she's going on to the Nationals, as Bert Blyleven would say, in Chicago. And middle of April is when that happens. Good
April
luck.
19th, yep.
Amazing stuff from Stella Iliff. Keep it up. It's very cool.
All right, Corey, we have to talk about the good folks at the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade who make the Morning Sports Desk possible.
Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade, go check them out. I mean, first of all, you got to get yourself registered for that birthday party, right? You got to make that happen. You got to get your FunZone rewards. You can keep the 2 for $22 up there. That's fine, CJ. The ultimate birthday party. When you follow the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade on Facebook, you'll be able to see the QRF code. Just scan that and get yourself entered that way. But it's FunZone rewards, it's Ranch rewards. Ooh, how about this? On Friday, it was a 2 for $22 celebrating Pi Day. Are you a Are you a pie kind of guy, math pie kind of guy, or just more of a food pie kind of guy?
More of a pizza pie kind of guy.
More of a pizza pie kind of guy. I like the rhyming there. 2 for 22. That was this past Friday, thanks to the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. But more than anything, lunch, parties, FunZone Arcade and games, and the morning sports desk. Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena really brings you the best of everything.
All right, Corey. So as we wrap up the sports desk today, got a couple state sports things to clean up. First, the Wolves handled business against the Jazz, which is something that they had issues with before. The Wolves have won their 8th in a row. That's the longest winning streak they've had in 20 years. I believe the 03-04 team was the last one to hit that milestone of 8+ wins. And now they've done it. If you remember, the loss before this 8-game winning streak started was a humiliating loss to the Jazz where Ant was suspended because of him throwing the ball in the stands against the Lakers. And that game that they dropped in Utah that they had no business losing, and they clutched defeat from the jaws of victory. But since then, they've won 8 in a row. And not only that, they've slingshot themselves kind of into that, like, they're still the 7th seed because the Warriors also refuse to lose. But they're 2.5 games back of the 3 seed and the 2 seed. And like the whole West 2 through 7 is just kind of a jumble. And the Wolves have put themselves right back in the thick of things with their win. They're also 12-0 in their last 12 games with Julius Randle.
I've seen a lot of things going around on social media, like people owing Julius Randle an apology and how good they've been with him back in the lineup, things like that. I would like to say that, yes, we do apologize to Julius Randle for maybe being unfairly in the long term critical of his play. But I also would like to point out that he wasn't good. He wasn't good when this season started, and things were starting to turn a corner before he got hurt. And now he's been very good since coming back from this injury. Like, sometimes it just takes a while to get back into this, but let's not pretend like what's happening now is an excuse for him being bad to start the season. I hate that when this kind of stuff happens. Both can be true. He can be awesome now and very important for the Timberwolves, and he could have also been one of the big reasons why they were struggling and weird in the early part of the season, because he was, and it's okay. It's okay that that's true and that he's awesome now.
Yeah. No, I think that all makes sense. I also think, 2 things can be true at once. He's gotten really good, but he also was really bad. And also on the other side, fans were overly critical of him early on. And also this is why this is also why we scream patience at the beginning of the year. It doesn't take away from how bad he played at the beginning of the year, but this is why when we said all year, when they had bad losses and Randle had bad games, bad game by Randle, but like, I'm not going to indict him because they're a work in progress and they are working on things and they've gotten better. By the way, the Julius Randle Goosebumps meme has gotten traction on social media. So I think his nickname is like Big Goose or something like that for Randle, something along those lines. And so anyway, people have Goosebumps, which is the Travis Scott song where it just has the TikTok of the girl who does it on the trombone. She's got like the sunglasses on and she's playing the beat of a rap song with the trombone. And so it just has Randle highlights in the background with her video kind of in front of it, just like going like this. And then Michael Grady on, I believe it was Friday night's game when Randle passed it to the corner for a DiVincenzo 3. It went in and he just said Goosebumps every time. It's great. It's a lot of fun. This team is gelling. DiVincenzo's found his 3-point stride. Anthony Edwards dropped 41 yesterday. Jaden McDaniels continues to have his career year. Jalen Clark continues to just earn minutes on this veteran lace team. And his defense, again, is just super fun to watch. We talked about this already, so I don't need to beat the dead horse here. This is a Wolves team that is not scaring. It should not be scared of anybody and should scare everyone that they potentially would have to play. It's really fun. They have a chance to keep that win streak going. They play the Pacers tonight.
Oh, I don't know.
It's a back-to-back Wolves schedule. Here we go. They play the Pacers tonight, 7:00 tip-off, Target Center. And then their kind of 5-game homestand wraps up with back-to-back games against the Pelicans on Wednesday and Friday. They have those games. So again, and then they play the Pacers again. Then they play the Suns, Pistons, the Nuggets on April 1st. But they haven't lost a game in March, Corey. And look, they're going to lose a game in March, but there's also a path where they go undefeated in March. That's also in play because of how their schedule is going. And they're still the 7th seed, which is just, again, a testament to the Western Conference. But all right, so there's that. The Vikings got a trade for George Mason over the weekend, and for them to get a running back kind of thrown into this mix. So the trade details are basically a pick swap this year in the 6th round, and the 6th round pick that the Vikings got for next year in the Ed Ingram trade. So essentially the Vikings traded Ed Ingram and a pick swap in the 6th round for a running back that they extended. So he was a restricted free agent, and basically the Vikings just traded for him to be able to not have to worry about any of the penalties of the restricted free agent. It's also why this was a cheaper trade. But overall, if you look at the details of this, so Jordan Mason went to the Vikings. Then they signed him to a 2-year, $7 million deal, or 2-year deal, with $12 million total, $7 million fully guaranteed. And this is one of the guys who yards after contact was one of the highest in the NFL. This is a dude that can run after contact. This is a dude, the Vikings talked about getting tougher, Corey, and they did it in the trenches by adding Will Fries, by adding Kelly, and then also now by keeping Aaron Jones, so you keep that stability, but then by adding a runner who's a little bit more angry. Aaron Jones, I think, he's a good runner. He's got some angry to his game, but he's more of like he's a zone guy. He's a little bit more flowy. He's got a little bit more finesse. This is a guy who's a little more ground and pound, which I think is just, again, the Vikings are surrounding J.J. McCarthy. It is J.J. McCarthy, not Rodgers. They're surrounding J.J. McCarthy with this entire piece, and this is just a really nice roster they've put together over the last week.
He's also, you talk about preservation of your players. He is going to be an unbelievable third down back. He is a very good pass blocker. So you're talking about a guy now who can come in and protect J.J. McCarthy in third down and long passing situations. So you're protecting your quarterback, but also you're protecting your number one running back and Aaron Jones, and not having to have him. Aaron Jones can really do that stuff also, but now he doesn't have to. You're not putting more miles on an older back that you don't have to, because you got this guy who can come in on third down, and he can catch the ball out of the backfield. He runs hard. He can be your short yardage gainer, but he can also pass protect really well. It's just a good, well-rounded pickup by the Vikings to supplement what they already have in that running back room, and to your point, to just help secure and make this as cushy as possible for JJ in every sort of scenario.
There's a feeling, Corey, anytime it was 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, I mean, you just knew the Vikings were passing the ball. Teams were not scared of the Vikings running in those kind of need to have it plays, those whatever in ones, the goal, you're on the goal. Vikings are on the goal line at the 1, and they basically felt like they needed to pass 3 times. And it's not just because KOC likes to pass. It's because they just had no faith in that run game. And for good reason, because whenever they tried, they couldn't. And it's not an Aaron Jones's old thing, that it was just a line couldn't get it done. And now they overhauled the offensive line, at least interior, and you add Jones coming back with another year in this offense. You add a runner who's a little bit more angry. The Vikings are definitely taking it personally that they have not been able to do some of the short yardage running that other teams have been able to. And if you add that in with the Vikings' ability to pass the football and just a little bit more creativity in the run game would be ideal. But I mean, overall, just can you at least got to have it it's 3rd and 1. We just need to run up the middle and get a yard and move the chains. You add that to your offense, and it just, again, opens things up. How many times do we watch the Vikings where they'd have a drive? A team would go on an 18-play drive and suck 10 minutes of time off the clock. I'm exaggerating, but the opposing offense would go on this long drive and kill a bunch of clock, and then the Vikings would get back, run on first down for 2 yards, pass incomplete. Now it's 3rd and 8. Pass, whatever, incomplete, or you don't get the first down, and you essentially have 1 run, 2 incompletions, and punt the football back. Now at least you have a little bit more ability in your run game to where you're just not in that mode where it feels like when the other team and the defense is better too, but where it's like you just give the, like, if you don't score in this drive, you're not going to get the ball back until like the 2-minute warning or something like that. I think what they've been doing with their team is just very important. And again, everybody talks about building a roster like the Eagles, and I've heard other people say this, but the Vikings are building a roster a little bit like the 49ers. Because if you imagine, can J.J. McCarthy be Brock Purdy? And if he can be Brock Purdy with the roster the Vikings are putting together, they're going to win a lot of games.
Well, they're even setting themselves up now, and nobody wants to have this conversation because we're way too early. But the Vikings are even setting themselves up that they can win games, and JJ's not very good.
Right.
Like they have set this team up to be pretty well-rounded offensively and defensively. They still have draft picks to make. There's still money to spend. All of these things are set up for this team to be good, that they are either, no matter what, they're a quarterback away, whether that's J.J. McCarthy or not. And I know that's a pessimistic view on this, but they are set up to be okay, even if J.J. McCarthy isn't.
Yeah, exactly. Like, all J.J. McCarthy has to do is make like 3 plays a game, and they're going to win most games. And I mean, I know Adrian Peterson won MVP that year, but even Christian Ponder could lead a team to 10 wins if you just make like 3 throws a game.
Like, credit. Adrian Peterson was the MVP of the league. He rushed for 2,000 yards that year.
Yeah, that certainly helps. But hey, we'll always have that Green Bay game at the Metrodome.
But the point is be better than Christian Ponder.
And you're going to win a lot of games.
A lot of games.
Exactly. And J.J. McCarthy is going to be better than Christian Ponder. I think we can say that without knowing a lot about J.J. McCarthy.
You can freak out to the right side, and you will be better.
Don't immediately look at your first read. He's not open, and then panic and then run. Yeah, exactly. J.J. McCarthy is going to be, and by the way, he has better coaching to develop a quarterback than Ponder did with Leslie Frazier and Bill Musgrave. So that also is a thing. And he has Justin Jefferson, which, because again, the roster is better. So this is a really nice situation that J.J. McCarthy is getting put into. And we will not have the Rodgers discussion ever on this podcast unless he actually signs, because they are not signing Aaron Rodgers. Like, that's just, I'm done with that. I'm not entertaining anything in that ballpark unless it actually happens. Because
stop talking about it. I'm done talking about it too.
I just had people over the weekend who were like, well, I mean, he is a veteran, and he does not. No. He's cooked. He's washed. People have a video where they cut and they're like, look at Rodgers and the arm talent, and he's still showing. And they showed highlights that are no later than week 8. Like, no. Brett Favre had great moments in his last year in Minnesota, and he was still cooked. No. Okay. All right. I'm moving on before I work myself up. Last thing, speaking of things that are going to work us up, Corey, yesterday in the Twins spring training game, they played it up as they should. The first televised broadcast with the new TV crew and the new TV setup and the Twins.tv, like Provis and Morneau were there. Audra Martin was there. They were doing the game as if it was going to be a regular season matchup, the graphics packages, some of the things that they're doing. And it's like, great. This is the opportunity to see the Twins. And then Royce Lewis, Rocco Baldelli was in an interview in the top of the second inning with the guys, and the inning went 9 pitches. So he's like, you know what? I'll hang on for the bottom half of the inning. And I was listening, and I was kind of doing stuff away from the TV. And then I just hear kind of Rocco talking, and says, I got to go, guys. And then all of a sudden I look at the TV, and I didn't know what happened. And then they show a replay, and then it's Royce running halfway to first base and then going limp the second half of the way down and exiting the game with a left hamstring strain, they later announced. All right, that's my thoughts.
Well, I think you know that I've been kind of oddly maybe pessimistic about the Twins this season, going back a long time. I really was disheartened by the way the season ended a year ago, and continued
nothing to wash that taste out of your mouth.
Well, and I continue to be disheartened by the ownership stuff. And I mean, that goes back to before last season, and then a trade deadline, and then all off season. And now this ownership, like it is, it's disheartening for me, to say the least. And you know that I've kind of been off the Buxton thing for a while. I love Byron Buxton. He's an unbelievable player when he plays. He just doesn't play. And I'm giving Royce Lewis the opportunity here. It hasn't been as the career of injuries like Byron Buxton always went through. It hasn't been as long for Royce, but they've all been more severe. So I'm willing to still be patient on Royce Lewis because he is a borderline supernatural talent when he is able to play baseball. He's just not really able to play baseball. And what needs to happen? Like, why are these soft tissue things happening? What's going on? Are you not doing your job? Is the training staff not doing their job? I am pessimistic about the Twins, and this hasn't helped me even a little.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, injuries are random. I think that is something that can be said through all of sports. But like you said, there are things you can do to prevent injuries. They're better than others. And sometimes it's fluky. Like I think with Buxton, feels like, well, he runs into walls. Well, not really, because most of his injuries are running the bases, and he runs the bases really hard. There's things where it's like, I agree, where it's just so tough to figure out how these things happen and what could be done differently. Are they doing things wrong? I have no idea, and nobody really knows. And that's what's so frustrating. It's not like he's not, like, for sure, we know he's not taking care of himself, or we know that like the training staff is bad, or we know this, or we know that. It's so tough to tell, because injuries are just so random, and it's just annoying. And it's annoying that it's the Twins' three best players that have these injury concerns. And it's annoying because the Twins are really only going to go as far as those three combined can take them in the Correa, Buxton, Lewis, and whatever. I mean, it'll get sorted out. I'm sure Royce I'm sure he'll be out for a few weeks and he'll come back, and then he'll get hurt again or something. I don't know.
Hurt again. Like this is not a if he gets hurt again.
And it's also the thing of the injuries too. You get one injury and then it compounds on another and another. Like just the wear and tear of one injury making you more susceptible to another. It's the same thing with Buxton. Like the more injuries you have, the more likely you are to be injured again because you've already been injured before. Like that.
The only way your hamstring heals is to not do anything. So if nothing else, he's either going to have to deal with this all season long, or we're just not going to see him till June.
Right. And yeah. Anyway, congratulations to Jose Miranda, the team's opening day third baseman, or Willie Castro, whichever one. Probably a good chance it's Jose, but depends on if they feel Willie at second base, if they want to give it to Brooks Lee. Julian has been having a great camp. It doesn't matter. But we'll figure it all out. They made their next round of cuts. I will say with the Twins, their starting rotation is set. It's the usual suspects: Pablo Lopez, Bailey Ober, Joe Ryan, Chris Paddock. Simeon Woods Richardson won the 5th spot out of camp. Some David Festa, Zebby Matthews hype at the end of throughout spring training kind of was like, hey, maybe they'll steal that 5th spot. But I think barring injury was always going to be those 5, because you have 4 veterans and Simeon Woods Richardson, who's coming off his best season of his career and is the more proven out of those 3, out of him and the 2 prospects who got minimal time at the end of last year. Like, I think that rotation was always going to be that way barring injury. And by the way, to put a plus note on the Twins, they're like 7-8 deep in the rotation, and you have to be, because like the Twins learned last year, you're going to need to play about 7-8 starting pitchers at least throughout a season. This starting rotation has a chance to be as deep and as good as the 2023 staff that was top 5 in baseball. So that is a part to be confident about, at the very least.
Not me.
This has been the Morning Sports Desk, powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. See you.
Powered by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Follow the Morning Sports Desk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch every show on YouTube.